What's going on, everyone? Greatest Hits here. I'm back with another video. Now, I've been trying to make this video for a while now, for over 2 months. I just got a new job 2 months ago, and I really only have time to make videos on Saturdays and Sundays, so basically weekends. But you know, I'm working 5, almost 6 days a week and everything, but that's pretty much why I've been only making one video every 3 to 4 weeks. But anyways, this video is going to be about the channel and the car and the future plans for the car. I had this car for 1.5 years, as most of you may know, and I made a lot of changes, mostly repairs, like, you know, suspension and brakes and spark plugs and fuel injectors and all this other kind of stuff, and wiring and bulbs and stuff. Haven't put a whole lot of modifications into it, just some BMR suspension, some long tube headers, a tune, and a few more modifications that I'm going to be putting in the car by the end of this year. And I can't wait to show you guys, because I have it at the house right now, and I'm just so ready to install it. The future goals for this car, because I've actually made a video actually almost a year ago about the future plans for the car, but you know, as time goes on, the plans kind of change. I do want this motor and this car to run in the mid to low 8-second quarter-mile range, which is really fast, moving at around 140 and 160 miles per hour. That's where I want the car to be, but I'm not going to tell you guys what power adder I'm going to put in this car yet until I actually get the part and install it, because I don't want to really give too much away for you guys, because then if it doesn't happen, then that's on me, and you know, you guys will be disappointed. But the real goal for this car, the actual goal that I want to achieve in this car, is a 7.5 or 7.2 and a quarter mile. Now, I've never been to a quarter-mile track at all. I've only been to 8th-mile tracks, mainly because Mississippi only has more 8th-mile tracks than quarter-mile tracks, and most of them have been shut down over the years, and I just go to the same track every time I have, well, really the time to, and you know, the money and all that kind of stuff, and pretty much whenever I feel like it. But I want to go to a quarter-mile track with this car to experience it and just, you know, have fun and, you know, make a career out of it. But yeah, that's the long-term goal for it. I want, you know, full-on drag radials or slicks, whichever comes first. I want to run in the 7.5 second range or 7.2, something like that. I want it to be extremely fast, and I'm not gonna spill out too much, because I want it to be the fastest something in the world. Big statement, but I'm not gonna say what power adder I'm gonna get. Now, some of you that know me personally know exactly what power adder I'm going to get for this car, but please don't comment below, because I will delete your comment because you're gonna give it away for everybody else. So yeah, extremely fast, popping wheelies, and I still want it to be a street car. And if you don't know what a street car is, it's basically a race car, but it's legal on the street. So, like, you know, if I had drag radials and, you know, new cylinder heads and, you know, the whole engine and transmission work and everything like that, it will still be street legal, because the parts from the aftermarket company will say, hey, you can still drive this car on the street, it's still legal, blah 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 blah. I want to try to get this thing at 3,200 pounds Well, I really wanted to get to 3,000 pounds or 2,800 pounds. I want it to be really light. I'm gonna get rid of the AC. I took out the radio and the speakers. As you can see, I took out the radio right there, and the speakers back here. I took this whole panel off on both sides and took the speakers out over here, and in the back I took off the speakers that were in here, and here is just a little cover for the speaker. That's all it is, but there's no speakers, there's no radio. I took all that out. Saved a little bit of weight, but not much. But I'm going to be taking the seats out and, you know, putting racing seats in there. I'm not going to say exactly what seats I'm going to put in there either. But this is going to be essentially a race car, but for the street. As far as the engine and running mid to low 7-second quarter miles, this engine won't be able to do that. Even with all of the forged internals and, you know, forged pistons, crank, and the whole nine and everything, it's just not going to happen with this LS1. Even with ARP head bolts and connecting rod bolts and all this kind of stuff, it's just not gonna work. It's not. The fastest I've seen any LS1 engine race in a quarter mile is like an 890 and an 870, somewhere around there. I have to look it up, but I think it's around the 8-second range, which is still really fast, but I want to go a lot faster. Next year I'm going to try to get some drag radial tires or bias ply tires, something like that, which is technically still drag radial, but it's more of a slick, but it's not like a true slick. So I guess you can drive it on the street, but yeah, I'm going to try and get this car to a quarter-mile track, so maybe drive down to Texas, because I've been to Texas so many times and I love it there. Drive it down to Texas, or maybe I don't know, Memphis or something like that. But down here in Mississippi, there's just not really a whole lot. And you know, the track that I go to is like 30 minutes from here, from my house. I want to go to a different track. I want to go to a better track, actually, because the track that I've been going to, it's decent, but you know, it's not the best. Yesterday I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't think you can, but yeah, you can see it a little bit. But I put new struts on the car because it's been squeaking really bad and it's actually been leaking hydraulic fluid, so I replaced that. I wasn't gonna put like any type of drag racing suspension on it yet because it's COVID-19 and everything's being delayed, and it just sucks, and it's a lot of money to put drag racing suspension on it, and this is my only car. Other than that, guys, this car has been a blast, an absolute blast to drive on the street and the track, and it's just so much fun, especially with the T-tops off. About the long tube headers is that it's super loud. It's a world of difference when you put the long tube headers on an LS1 or any type of V8, V6, whatever. It's just a huge difference. The engine can breathe a whole lot better. It's just phenomenal. The cons on this header is that, especially this car, is that the car is kind of low. It sits stock height. I don't really want to do anything to the body or lower it or anything. I just think everybody's doing that and I just don't want to. So the cons on this exhaust is that the Y pipe, I don't know if y'all can see that, but the Y pipe sits pretty low. You don't really want to drive this car everywhere because you'll bottom out and scrape something if you're going over a speed bump or something. And I had several situations in the past few months that I would scrape the exhaust and the exhaust literally would come off of the car and hang and drag all around the road, and it's not good. It pisses me off because it happens every single time. You're just gonna have to be careful when you're driving a car like this with long tube headers and a wide pipe, specifically with this car. And the clamps on this car suck. They absolutely suck. So if you're buying any type of speed engineering, headers, exhaust, whatever, throw out the clamps or just save them for something else or whatever, but get some heavy duty clamps or something so these things won't shake its butt off and fall out, because that's what happened to me. I had to tighten the crap out of these clamps to get it to, you know, hold and not shake and come loose from the actual vibration of the exhaust and how loud it is. I'm gonna show you guys where I cut the axle back, because my axle back exhaust is still stock for now until I get a new axle back for it. I put a 2.5-inch clamp and it's pretty small, but it's just gonna work for right now. It's a pain in the butt because I'm having to constantly tighten it up when it gets loose or when it hangs too far. But this is basically 2 months of driving it daily. And then if you guys can see, that's a problem because it's constantly hitting the floor and tapping the underneath of my foot when I'm driving. Although it's not too much of a pain, the tapping kind of goes away when you're, you know, accelerating or just kind of driving. But when you let off your foot, it starts to rattle and stuff like that. But I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna fix this, because I don't really want to put anything over this exhaust, because I tried and it's literally burned it off and melted it off. Give me some ideas on this. It really sucks. But on the flip side, it makes like 30 horsepower and I'm loving it. So as far as the exterior, I'm gonna keep everything the same. I'm gonna get it repainted and definitely get that repainted. That just looks kind of that's kind of a sore eye right there. But I'm gonna restripe it. Everything's just going to be the same, especially when I run 7s in this car. Now, how much power I'm gonna make with this car? Well, I'm thinking around 1,300 to 1,600 horsepower, maybe more. That's kind of the goal right now. Speaking of drag racing stuff, the fastest this car has been without the headers and without the BMR suspension, essentially completely stock, 8.06 in an 1/8 mile, not a 1/4 mile, at 66 miles per hour at the drag strip that I've been to, and that's decent. The last video I couldn't get a time slip, but I know this car is running into the high to mid 7-second range in the 1/8 mile, so it has to be maybe 7.5s at 70 mile an hour or 75 mile an hour. The next time I go to the 1/8 mile track in Byram, I'll show you guys the time slips, if I can get the time slips. With everything that I've done to it, I think it can probably run a 13.2 or 13.1 in a 1/4 mile. From the factory, these cars can run like a 13.5 to a 13.8 at 105 or 104 mile an hour. Now, the future plans for the channel, I'm not really going to be doing a whole lot of car reviews like I used to be doing. I've only done 2. It's just not working out as well, so I'm just gonna stand back. But if I have an opportunity to do a car review with somebody, I will. But for the most part, I'm going to be doing a lot of work to the car, as far as modifications and just replacement parts and stuff like that, and racing, mostly racing, because that's what I want to do in this channel with this car. I got rid of the sticker because it just didn't really match with the car, so I just got rid of it. But it looks pretty dang cool. I put this fuel pressure gauge on here because I just want to monitor the fuel pressure and everything. It is leaking a little bit up here. The pin came out. This is just fluid from the actual gauge. This is not fuel, so this is just fluid that's, you know, inside the fuel pressure gauge. That's pretty much it, guys. I just want to give everyone an update on what I'm going to be doing next to the car, future plans with it, and the channel as well. So stick with me. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Greatest Hits out.